Hey everyone, Adam Bergman here, tax attorney and founder of IRA Financial. And on today's video, we're going to be discussing the details you need to know about the self-directed IRA rollover rule. So lucky enough to have Isaac Rodriguez, who is a client of IRA Financial and an amazing employee, kind of share perspectives, thoughts, and his personal experience on rollovers into IRA. So thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So before I get into Isaac's situation, because I think it's a perfect segue into this, let me just briefly discuss the IRA rollover basics. And they're pretty simple. You can move money between IRAs, which are known as transfers, anytime you want. 1,000 times a day, 1,000,000 times a year. Direct from bank to bank, custodian to custodian, IRA to IRA. That's called a direct transfer, unlimited. You can do it to the point where as long as it goes retirement and retirement account, no problem. Now, you also have the ability to do something called an indirect transfer, indirect rollover, where the money, instead of going from Fidelity to IRA Financial, goes Fidelity to John Smith. And then John Smith has 60 days to do whatever he wants with that money. And then within 60 days, he needs to return it to another IRA custodian. That's known as a 60-day indirect. You can only do that once every 12 months for all your IRAs in the aggregate, okay? Now, 401ks to IRAs, which is what we're really gonna focus on today, that generally needs what's called a triggering event, okay? Unlike an IRA, there's no triggering event. You have an IRA at Schwab, you're like, I wanna buy real estate tomorrow, move it to IRA Financial, no matter what your age is, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, doesn't matter. Tax-free, anytime you want. In a 401k, 457B, 403B, you need a triggering event. What are the three common triggering events? One, you reach the age of 59 and a half. Two, you leave your job. Third, merger, company terminates the plan. Okay, so it's strange, I know, like you can talk about your experience. I've had a bunch of employees, probably every several months, they ask our HR department, hey, like, can we move our money to an IRA? We don't like the investments. And the answer is like, no, unless you leave your job, you're over the age of 59 and a half, like, you got to keep the money in the plan. Why? Government just doesn't trust us to do what we want with the money. And they want to, I guess, make the administration of a 401k as less burdensome as possible for the employer. So let's talk, Isaac. You moved money from a former employer, 457, to a self-directed IRA.
Yes,
Can you talk about that?
In my case, it was a government agency. I retired after 20 years and I had a 457.
And you were under 59 and a half?
Yes, I was under 50. Yes, definitely.
Right, you still are. So always, I just had to say it.
So what I did was when I retired, I rolled it over to a bank, JP Morgan, I think it was, and I opened up I opened up a regular IRA with the bank. And, it was doing well because whatever the banks do with your IRA, they invest it in stocks and they invest it for you. After that, I started working for this company. And luckily that I was working for this company, I found out that I got the knowledge that I can use those funds that I had in JP Morgan IRA, and I can use them to invest in non-traditional investments such as real estate. But of course, you would have to roll it over to a self-directed IRA and in a custodian like IRA Financial Trust, and you just have a check and you could just write checks and invest in real estate. That was the actual rollover.
So it's a perfect example.
From 457 to an IRA. Bank IRA, from a bank IRA to a self-directed IRA, like a company like IRA Financial.
Right. So it's a perfect example. So Isaac went 457 to an IRA and then IRA to IRA. So that the 457 to an IRA is a rollover, because anytime it's a non-IRA to an IRA, it's called a rollover. Same rules as an IRA to IRA transfer.
457 to the IRA in JP Morgan, you're saying.
That's a rollover, tax-free. But you needed a trigger event. If you didn't leave your job, let's say you were still at your former employer, right? You're in New York, your former employer.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to touch that money because you're still under 59 and a half.
Correct.
He'd still be stuck with it, but he left his job, he retires. The money goes to JP Morgan. He has no idea, right? You never heard of self-directed IRAs, even though you're a real estate person.
Correct. I never heard of a self-directed IRA until I started working for this company.
So, right, so he works with IRA Financial. He's like, oh my God, right? Just
wow, it's a no-brainer.
Just like I started this company.
Money and buy real estate, that's great.
Yeah, I started this company. And that's what like triggered me and my love for the self-directed industry is I couldn't believe as a tax lawyer, I have a master's in tax law, working at some of the largest law firms in the world for 9 years, pretty smart guy. I had no idea you could do this. I was blown away when I helped a client get it, use his IRA for a hedge fund.
And many people don't have like a down payment to purchase real estate. You know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't. But they do have a retirement funds and they don't even know they can use it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, to purchase real estate. And this is a vehicle that allows you to do that.
Right. So, okay, so we go 457, JP Morgan IRA, IRA to IRA Financial Trust. So let's just real briefly talk about the self-directed IRA industry because I think it's interesting. Since 1974, IRAs were created by ERISA. And ERISA didn't distinguish between self-directed and a regular IRA. In fact, if you go in the tax code under section 408A, which governs IRAs, Roth IRAs, you'll never see the word self-directed IRA. No, it's not an IRS term. It's not a legal term. In fact, you can call it an XYZ IRA, you can call it an IRA Financial IRA, you can call it an Isaac IRA. It doesn't matter. All it is an IRA that basically does alternative assets. Now, if you went to JP Morgan and said, hey, can you do real estate? Can I do private equity? You tried.
Actually, I tried doing that and they looked at me like I was crazy.
They had three heads. Why? Because they don't make money. JP Morgan.
I felt like a criminal, but they're like, no, we don't do that. No, sorry. You know, it was like they didn't understand it at all.
Yeah, and I have investments at JP Morgan. It's a great bank. For equities, fixed income, great. But you want to diversify. You want to do some stuff you know and trust. You're a real estate guy. I'm a real estate guy. Like, it's a cool thing to do. So there's only 3 institutions that could custody an IRA: a bank, financial institution, and a state chartered trust company like IRA Financial. So you can't roll your IRA to Amazon, right? You need to have an institution. The custodian. So that's why you were able to go from 457B, JP Morgan IRA Financial Trust, we're a regulated state chartered trust company. And then once the money sits with us, then we allow for alternative assets. We're
the vehicle to allow that.
Right. We don't compete with JP Morgan. We don't sell stocks. We don't sell bonds. We don't sell mutual funds. That's not our business. Our business is simply to facilitate alternative asset investments, to let Isaac and whoever else wants to do this invest in real estate or gold or
silver or cryptocurrency, anything non-traditional.
Right. And that's our job. And we don't actually allow our clients to buy stocks. Why? We're not a broker dealer. So we don't custody securities because we're not a broker dealer. We don't need to compete with JP Morgan and Fidelity because they can have that business. Our expertise is custodying alternative assets, right? And that's,
but they still do. There are clients that do use it for, to go to Fidelity and buy stocks.
Yeah,
they do use it.
They'll use it, but IRA Financial Trust doesn't custody the securities.
No,
so you can still use us to facilitate investments into Fidelity through a solo plan, an LLC, right. But we don't actually custody the securities because we're not a broker dealer. But we'll custody the real estate. We'll custody the gold. We'll custody the private equity, the private business, the silver, the crypto, whatever that account is, we can do it. We just don't custody the securities. So once you rolled your funds into the self-directed IRA, then you were clearly free to do what you needed to do.
Yes.
And that's the beauty. And then once you complete that rollover, you now can decide whether to do a full service IRA or a checkbook where you get an LLC, you get control. You can have a little bit more active management of the investment. And then from a real estate perspective, obviously, the name of the game is all the income from the investment go back to the IRA without tax. And ultimately, when you sell that asset, it goes back without tax.
Yes.
And that's just
compound interest free.
Yeah, that's, Albert Einstein, 8th wonder of the world, compounding returns. Warren Buffett, any smart person understands the value of compounding returns. So there you go. That is the self-directed IRA rollover basics. Thanks, Isaac. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this amazing channel. Also, don't be shy. Leave a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as possible. Thanks again for watching. Spend some time with us, and we'll see everyone again next week.